Kierradjackson, welcome back to another video. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to the channel. Be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Stay around for a little bit. If you are a returning subscriber, as always, thank you so much for watching little old me. So as y'all can see, I am outside with my fur baby. I'm letting him run around, so if y'all hear something, that's what y'all are hearing. So today we're going to talk about, and I got a list on my phone of things that kind of made me start to think like my ex was a narcissist. I do want to say that, or has narcissistic personality disorder. I do want to say, these videos aren't to bash him. These are to pretty much bring awareness. And I know I don't have to explain myself, but I want to throw that out there because I do feel like people have the ability to get the help that they need. And I do understand that mental health is a serious thing. And I really want people to just be better and be more aware of what they have going on and utilize their resources. That is my biggest thing for making these videos, because I was in a terrible situation, and honestly, he was in a terrible situation with fighting this stuff by himself without getting the resources that he needed. So, I don't know, I have just felt so led to share my truth, but I also want to make sure I'm coming from a good place, because I don't intend to harm anybody or to bash anybody or to make them feel lesser than. Like I said, it's just simply to be better and to make people aware, because I'm very fortunate to make it out of my situation alive. So, yeah, so let's just get into this video because I don't want to do too much rambling. I'm probably going to make this a 2-part video because there's so many things. It might even be 3 parts. I have a ton of things that I can share about my journey. So when I first met this guy, there was a lot of instances that occurred where he was wrong or not being truthful with me. And the first thing that I noticed from very early on in our relationship was that he was a great liar. And he was never sorry about anything that he got caught doing. It was just more of a begging type of thing. So, in the beginning, I caught him, still talking to certain people or doing certain things that you shouldn't do in a relationship. And instead of being sorry, it was, oh, I'm going to get it together. Please don't leave me, when I would ask him to leave. I remember one time I even walked outside of my apartment, and he used to drive 2.5 hours to see me, and he had driven up there and was standing outside of my apartment because I wouldn't talk to him and I was going to cut him off. It was things like that. He just would not be sorry or stop lying, but yet it was a whole begging war to keep me from cutting him off due to the lies. When I first met him, he used his dad's accomplishments for his own gain. And I noticed throughout our relationship, he did that to me too. I honestly feel like I was just a trophy wife or girlfriend, from the beginning. I remember him saying stuff to his family oh yeah, she has her degree and she's a sergeant in the military and she this and she's that, and I had a lot more going for myself at the time than he did, and so I guess it kind of made him feel whatever. And I used to feel like he put me on a pedestal, which I didn't like. And we had this whole debate about that. But to go back to when I first met him, he did that with his dad's accomplishment. So he would be like, oh yeah, me and my dad have this business and we have this and we have that. And honestly, I don't really care about material things. That doesn't impress me. But it kind of gave off that, this man has his shit together, and he actually didn't. And I'm not going to get into what he was doing at the time, but he was going down a pretty bad road. Another thing was that he gave me a sob story about his family and how he had none. One day, I was talking about, how I didn't really want to be with him. I didn't feel like we aligned with one another. We were just on 2 different levels. I really liked him as a person. We could be friends. But I didn't think, this was somebody I wanted to be in a relationship with. And he broke down in the car with me, crying and just begging me, saying, everybody always leaves him. And now looking back, I realized, it was just an abandonment wound there, from his parents, especially his mom. And so I guess, whatever he felt with me was, something that created an attachment that was deeper than just I like this girl. It was more so something within him that was being fulfilled, and me on the other hand being an empath, there was something about that was fulfilling to me as well. I wanted to help. I cared. It tugged at my heart. And narcissists do this. Like, they do this thing where, like, they know, like, your weaknesses, and they know, like, when you care a lot. And so they will do certain things to get you attached to them. And so that was one of the things that he did. Like, typically they do give a sob story. I watched other videos and they talk about their family. After a year of being together, there was a lot of pressure on marriage. Like, when he initially brought it up to me, like, I knew I wanted to marry this man. Like, I love this man with all my heart. But I wasn't ready for marriage. And we had this conversation. I kept telling him, like, no, I don't want to do it. And he's like, no, like, we need to get married because, you know, I want to, at that time, we were both in the military, so it was like, I want to be there if something happens to your family. Like, my sister was going through some stuff at the time and in the hospital, and then I had lost my grandfather, like, shortly after that. And so he was like, you know, if something happened, I want to be there. And also, too, like, this will keep us together, and blah, 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 blah. And at the time, it made sense, and I think he was able to convince me that it made sense at that time, and it kind of made me forget about what that meant for my life long term, because I definitely don't think when we got married he was somebody, or where he was at in his life was something that I could see long term. But, you know, I believed in him. I believed he had potential. So when it came to, like, birthdays and holidays, I didn't really celebrate birthdays and holidays growing up, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. But one thing in my marriage that I did was I celebrated my partner. And, you know, it was something that I did crave from him, is, like, being celebrated. But when it came to, like, my birthdays, it was never, like, anything special, or even with our marriage, or nothing was, like, ever, like, really special. It was just kind of like, here, this is what you wanted. Or it was kind of like, you pick where you want to go or what you want to do. But it was never, like, anything, like, it was never anything that kind of, like, wowed me, I guess. And also, like, with my birthday, he would get gifts that I didn't really want. It was just kind of like stuff that he felt like I wanted. It was all about him and what he wanted versus, like, what I wanted. And don't get me wrong, like, some of the gifts that I got, like, I'll give an example. Like, he bought, like, these rims that were, I know, 2,000 plus. They probably was more than that for my car. And while they were nice and I loved them in my car and I appreciated them, it was just like, you got something that you wanted. It was never about me. And it was always like that in our relationship. And that brings me, like, to my next point, even, like, with our dog. So I wanted a dog. He wanted a dog, and he was like, we're going to get a dog because you're always at home by yourself, due to his career choice, which I thought was a great idea. And I stated what type of dog I wanted. Well, he started, like, he had this thing where he would pick up on what other people like, or what other people would brag about, and that's what he wanted. So somebody mentioned this breed of a dog, and he's like, this is the dog we're going to get. And I'm like, that's not what we discussed, but okay. I looked up the dog breed, and I was like, I don't want this dog breed. And then, like, when I started doing my research on them, I'm like, oh my God, these dogs are, like, super smart. Like, I wouldn't mind, like, you know, having a dog. Like, I was thankful and grateful that, you know, somebody did bring that to his attention. But the fact of the matter is that at that point, what we had previously discussed went out the window, and it was all about him and, I guess, fulfilling his ego, because he had these other people who had this breed of dog, or that talked about this dog, and plus he was in law enforcement. So it kind of, like, was one of those things that kind of, I guess, fueled his ego. And I was sending him pictures. I got very little help with the dog. It was all on me. Like, and I remember even telling him, I'm glad we got a dog first, because now I see what you would do if we had a kid. And we were actually planning on having a kid. And I'm so grateful to God that we didn't, because if y'all are experiencing narcissistic behaviors or in a toxic relationship and you don't have kids and you want to know what it would be like, literally get a dog. And when I say get a dog, I mean do the whole 9 yards with a dog. Like, take care of the dog, take him to the vet, create a schedule for the dog, a routine for the dog, like all these things. Like, get very specific, because then you will get to see, like, how much that person will actually interact and be involved. So another thing was, like, when it came to accomplishments, I celebrated him from the very first moment that I met him. When he got a new job, I got him a card with boots. When he graduated his schooling or whatever, like, I I did this whole big thing for him for his birthday. I always did something special. Like, it was always that. But when it came to my accomplishments, it was like very dry and hurtful, because I remember like right before the discard, I had closed 2 deals in a month, and that was a huge accomplishment for me because I never closed 2 deals in the same month. And he was gone, and I noticed like when he would be gone, I excelled in my career. I excelled in the gym. I excelled in everything. It's like he just took so much out of me. But when it came to my accomplishments, I had closed, and during my closing, he texted me, and I'm like, oh, we just closed. And I put the like the cheer emoji or whatever, and then he texts me back and goes, call me, it's important. And I called him, and he literally has drama going on in his life, and he just rants and rants on and on about the drama. Doesn't even give me a congratulations, doesn't even like pump me up, make me feel good about anything that I've done. It was like never that with my accomplishments. It's just like, okay, like you did it. Anything that I ever did, like I never got the same energy that I poured into him. I got 2 more I want to talk about. So one, I'm gonna say, like when we went on vacation, it was always like an argument. Like it was always something going on. Like he didn't want to do certain things. Was like very little fun with him. Like we have fun, and I enjoy being in his presence, but he wasn't like really that fun of a person, and like he didn't really want to do things or like get up. Like a lot of the vacation was just chilling or like sleep all the time, and that's fine, but like we can discuss that, and that could have been the vacation. But instead, that's not what got discussed. What got discussed was we're going to do this and we're going to do that and blah, 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 blah. And so I go into it expecting this, but then when we're there, it like kills my vibe, and then it becomes like an argument, and he will fight me on the vacation. He would hit me. One time he like, 2 times he choked me. Like it was just like stuff that, for stupid stuff too. Like it was like we had the dumbest arguments, y'all. Like I kid you not, the things that we argued about were so dumb. Like if you knew the things that we argued about, like you'd be like, oh my god, like y'all don't even, y'all just blows things up. Like that's how it was. And then one of the last things I'm gonna mention that I'm gonna get off here is he only dealt with people who validated him. So at work, he didn't really have any friends. He ate with the same dude every single day. In the military, people didn't really deal with him like that. They didn't really like him, and he would tell me all the time, like, people don't really fool with me, or they always trying to mess with me, and it's because of my face, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it wasn't just because of your face. It was your personality. It was like the type of person that you were. Like, you don't let people in, and then you're like a butthole at the same time. And so he will only hang around people who like supported the things that he needed to improve on. So like his attitude, his empathy, like he would do that. Like he only hung around people who were the same way or who validated those type of things. He never really hung around people that actually like wanted better or were trying to do better. Even like for our marriage, he wouldn't hang around successful married couples. Like he didn't feel comfortable around them, or successful couples. Like he wouldn't do that. Like he want to hang around people who got shit going on. Like it was just always like that. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video right here. I have a ton more to talk about, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know if you guys have experienced these same things, and I'll see y'all in the next video. See the doodles.